With this investigation. My name is Sergeant Brian Bauer, spelled B-R-I-A-N, last name Bauer, B-O-W-E-R. I am a sergeant with the City of Phoenix Police Department under the Public Affairs Bureau. I want you guys, and please understand that we're out here right now. The investigation is still ongoing right now. We're still at the beginning stages of this investigation, so there's still a lot of the answers that we don't know at this time. And as soon as we find those answers and we can release them, we will provide that to you. Media advisory will be sent out shortly following this, which will have updated information as it comes along. So the reason that we're here today is there was an officer-involved shooting. Officers originally got dispatched to the area of 111th Lane and College Drive here. Reference a male at an inpatient mental health facility making suicidal statements and making threats against staff and towards himself to jump out of a window and to cut himself. So when officers first responded, they immediately began communicating with this man. During that communications, the man pulled a knife from his pocket and began to advance towards officers inside the house. The officers gave him multiple commands to drop the knife in attempts to de-escalate the situation. The man continued going towards officers, at which point one of the officers involved did use his taser towards the man, striking him. However, the taser was ineffective. The man continued advancing towards the officers with the knife still in his hand. It was at this point that the officer-involved shooting took place. The officers and the community, no further injuries on that. The man who was involved was provided medical aid by the officers on scene. Fire department did respond and later transported him to a local hospital where he was still in critical condition at this point. As far as any updates on his welfare right now, we're still working at. Detectives are actively at the hospital and on scene trying to get the information to all those answers or all those questions. What I do want the community to know is, again, thank you for their patience. Realize that the road right here in this neighborhood will be for several hours pending the investigation. Right now, if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to provide what I have. Well, I'd have to get a little bit more details on what time that ambulance was observed with the police car. Okay, so right now we don't have any information. There's nothing being actively worked that I know of or that I'm aware of with reference any other ambulance in the area. So obviously the investigation is still ongoing right now, but what I can provide you is that it is an adult male in his early 20s. The house itself is an inpatient mental health facility. As far as the other information on that, it's still being investigated.
You mentioned that the taser was ineffective. Can you help us understand that? Did it miss him? Did it hit him, but he still kept going? I'm just trying to...
Yeah, so the taser was ineffective in the, it did hit the, however, it didn't have any effects on him. And that's the ineffective aspect of it. But again, investigators are still going through all the different body cameras to figure those answers out.
How many officers originally for that call?
So right now we don't have the exact count of the officers. Again, the investigation's still going, but what happens is I could tell you that there's 2 officers directly involved with the immediate situation.
Do you know how many patients are in this facility at a given time, and how many were here at the time that this incident took place?
Yeah, right now that would be speculation on my part if I was to assume how many people were in there. There were individuals in the house when this took place. None of the individuals, none of the residents were injured or affected by the shooting itself. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about who responded to the call? Was Phoenix Police, or were there also any mental health experts and crisis intervention?
So Phoenix Police got the initial phone call from the manager of the office. We did have officers clearing on the radio asking other resources. We have officers that are CIT trained officers that we tried to reach out to have them come. We also had a mobile crisis team en route. Unfortunately, the officer shooting took place before those resources were able to get here. So when the officers initially contacted the individual, they did have conversations with the individual leading up to the officer-involved shooting. As far as the exact time, that's something that the investigators are still looking through, checking the body camera for all the officers involved. So CIT teams, they're dispatched on availability. It was cleared over the radio asking for those resources, just no resources were able to get there prior to the officer-involved shooting. And like I said, that crisis van, mobile crisis team, was prior to the shooting taking place. So as far as the shots being fired, investigators are looking into those specific answers as well. They're also double checking all other officers that might have been involved. So they're going through the litany of checks for their entire investigation.
You said 2 officers were directly involved. Do you think 2 officers fired their weapon or 2 officers responded?
One officer fired his weapon, the other officer used his taser.
Any other indication of what the suspect said? Was he upset about something, angry, just yelling out?
Right now, that would be speculation on my part to assume what he was saying. The body camera did pick up the interaction between the officer and the subject, and that's something that the investigators are going through right now. Again, I appreciate your guys' cooperation, your guys' patience on this hot day. Again, the media advisory will be put out later on, and we'll follow up with any other details. Right now, the officers, they're part of that investigation. So again, I don't want to speculate. They're going to be speaking with all the investigators at this time. All right, thank you so much, guys.